Yeah, so we can't paint in this. Alright, so over on the 2.3, you see where this bracket sits, and it has the spots directly for the throttle body cable and gas pedal. So you don't get that if you're using this CX7, the Mazda CX7 2.5 liter, intake manifold. You got to get a little bit creative. So let's go back over. So in order to get this to work, what I've done was I originally was going to drill into the throttle body adapter, but realized that was a bad idea. I actually got pretty far down, but I was like, there has to be an easier way. And essentially there is. You just have to cut the bracket. Let me see if I can get a better angle. You got to cut a section of the bracket out to allow you to bolt it down onto the piece of plastic that sits on the throttle body, or excuse me, the manifold for the CX7. And if you have a CX7 manifold, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But now we have, and it's pretty tight. It's not moving anywhere, and that's all I need to be able to, run my throttle body cables and gas pedal. So I should be good to go. That was one of the biggest things when I was putting it back together the first time to figure out is how do I get these to sit tight so that I can actually run this. So that worked out. The next thing I need to do is go back over here and put in all of my switches and whatnot, fuses that I took out, like the fuel pump fuse and something else I took out. I gotta remember what I did. It's been a year. So I got to do that, and and then mount up my intake manifold runner controls. I'm gonna get a cap for this part here because I no longer need it, but I am gonna run a hose, which are conveniently already here. These hoses, I'm gonna run those hoses to their location at the bottom. This isn't for, I don't need this because I don't have flappers anymore. You remember back last year I deleted those flappers and the rod that went in there, and then used the Fusion's smooth intake caps to smooth everything out, so when air goes through there's no turbulence. If you don't remember what I'm talking about, you can go back and watch that video, and it kind of explains, or there I definitely explain why I was doing it. And the threat to having the flappers go into the engine and basically destroy the engine, granted that, or if the engine even starts. So we're assuming now that the engine is going to start, which I hope it does. So there's a lot of assumptions being made here. I need to fill up the reservoir for the power steering with a Mercon 5 automatic transmission fluid. If you don't believe me, go read the manual. It is actually, you don't use power steering fluid in this. Per manual, per the people who made the car, you should be using automatic transmission fluid Mercon 5. Yeah, you don't believe me? I'm telling you, go look it up. And just so there isn't any confusion, this is what I'm talking about. Oh, so there was another issue that I had with installation. So down here you'll see the AC condenser, and there's a discharge manifold. This thing right here, this thing right here, discharge manifold goes into the drying kit here, goes around and hooks into the air compressor on that side. Well, the tale of two stories is, if you get the aftermarket version of this, which is right here, yikes, if you get the aftermarket version of this discharge manifold for the AC, it won't fit. And what I mean by this is, you see where the OEM manifold hose. Let me point to it down here. See where this hose fits at? Right here. This one right here. So this manifold hose actually fits and sits right on here. If I can get down in here, it sits on this bracket, this radiator support bracket, which is not good because you can't get the radiator in if you have this on. So this cost about $50 something, and it didn't work for my needs. I can't say that it won't work for another Focus, but it definitely didn't work for my, at this point, severely custom Focus. That's not too happy about that, but that took some figuring out, and just buying the OEM version of it kind of helped out there. So let that be some advice. If you're going to do it, get the OEM part. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is start pumping in the transmission fluid for the transmission. So let's get on that.
All right, so I got everything primed and ready to go, and now all we need to do is try to start the engine and see if it works. If it doesn't, I'm telling you, I'm going to pull it and I'm going to put the 2.3 back in, and we'll have to figure out again what's going on with the 2.5. But let's hope that I got it figured out here. So let's go try it. Let's see. Oh, it's been a long time since I've been in here. Key in the ignition. The fuel pump went off, so that's good. Pedal pressure is increasingly difficult than it was before, but let's give it a try. All right, so test 2 was a disaster. It still has some of the same problems that it had with test 1. So I'm going to repull the whole engine and trans. I'm going to put in the 2.3 to get the car running and cycling for a spell, and pull the pull the 2.5 apart, and probably get some outside help to see what's going on internally with the 2.5, because I still think there's something going on, maybe with the head. Maybe I bent some valves or something that I can't see with my untrained eye. So we're gonna take all this apart again and build it back up.
So if I play dead, will you regret